What the fuck is up, party people? My name is Mystery, and welcome back to another video. It has been almost 2 years now since my last video, which kind of feels unbelievable, but I am back, and I just want to say quickly, I'm sorry for the long absence. My goal for 2025 is to upload 12 videos, and I will do my absolute best to at least get to 10. It's not like a once a month thing necessarily, but roughly, obviously 12 months in a year, you can do the math. So today we are back. My last video was a tier list, and I felt like it was appropriate. We do another one for a little comeback. We're doing another tier list, and we're doing this time ranking the Mega Evolutions in Draft League. And without further ado, let's go over these tiers real quick. At the top, we have best of the best can carry a team, be a star player. Basically, this Pokemon can still be like a 1A championship level contender, Pokemon. Like, I trust you. If this thing is drafted, it can be the best Pokemon on a team. After that, we have extremely good but have flaws, so, just kind of a step down. Obviously, I'm not going to explain all of these, but powerful and bulky or both, but exploitable. And then we have you've either fallen off or you have a crippling flaw. We have aggressively mediocre, usable but barely, not 100% terrible, not worth paying for, reaching the point of bad, but not bad and expensive, fucking useless, and then, unless this is 1 to 3 points maximum, do not draft. And here's the list of our boys. I will not be ranking, I believe, 9 of the Mega Evolutions because they're Ubers, and this is Natdex for Gen 9, but not Uber's Natdex. So this is this is the list of Mons, pretty much from Rayquaza over. Ignore them, they are not getting drafted. Zam is on the fringe. Just know, if he was allowed, obviously he'd be in the top tier. He's a little hard to rank as is, but without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, it's time to slander the main man himself, Mega Banette. And now listen, Banette is horrible. Like, let's not get this out of the way. I know he has his fans out there, but this thing is beyond garbage. Like, he is so bad it hurts. So bad. I wish he honestly was just like a pure dark type. His abilities before megaing, pretty bad. Frisk is probably the best one because at least like you can see what something has. But like, Pounce is your way to hit darks. Like, 50 base power, yucky. Gunk Shot is like your best coverage move. Obviously, you have knockoff. Like, it really would just be a better dark type than ghost type, or even ghost dark would be cool. He's just doesn't have the coverage. He's an interesting pursuit mon if your league allows it, I guess. But really, everyone knows, like, Prankster Destiny Bond. Like, that's your bread and butter, and everybody knows it. So who the fuck's losing to it? Like, unless you're bad, you shouldn't be losing mons to Mega Banette, and or if you're just, in a position where there's nothing else you can do. But like, I don't want to draft a mon with the idea like I'm going to let this die. Like, it's just, I don't like this Pokemon, and it's typically somewhere between 5 to 1 point depending on the league. It really depends how big of haters they are. I'm running the hate club, so I'd like him to be as close to 1 as possible. If he's like fucking somewhere between 3 to 1 points, and you don't have a Mega, and you don't have a Ghost type, fine, whatever. Like, you could fucking have Mega Banette. I'm not gonna like cry about it, but he sucks ass, and everyone needs to know that he is garbage. His speed just isn't good enough to take advantage. Like, his speed plus his coverage is just such a crippling flaw. So, and then not being a dark type, that also hurts. After that, we're going to go into the one I probably think is the worst after that, is Mega Camerupt. I don't know. It's tough. Like, this whole tier, I think, is really, really bad. Like, you can probably order them however you want. I don't really care. He's really bad. Like, he doesn't have setup. I don't believe he gets, like, workup or anything. Yeah, so he doesn't have a way to set up special attack. It's, I don't know. He has really bad coverage. He's really just god-awfully slow. He has Eruption, but he can't even use it because he's so fucking slow. Like, I think, like, on a Sun team, like, maybe you could get some value out of him. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. He just doesn't really have the tools. Explosion, let's go. To really be, like, an effective, like, high, value mon. So, unfortunately, he's down here. If you can get him for, like, 3 points, and you don't have like a fire type, I guess, sure, but I'd look elsewhere personally. After that, we have, who do I want to go with? We're gonna go with Mega Ampharos. Mega Ampharos is a mon that I love. You know, Fabio. I love me some Mega Fabio, but he is brutally slow. He cannot set up special attack without Meteor Beam, which is pretty cool. But can't run Power Herb. Just like so many of the things he has, it's like he's so close to being cool, but like Dragon Pulse is so weak. Like if he had Draco, if he had Tail Glow, if he had, you know, like if he had tools, like, you know, ROM hack tools basically, like I really do think he has a chance to be interesting. Just the no recovery without rest, the really weak stabs, the speed being garbage. Like he's not even fast enough to really make like agility work. What's the fastest you get to? Like 207? Yeah, 207. It's bad. Like it's not even fast enough. Like mons like Dragapult still outspeed you, so it's not, you have to run like webs. Even then he has clear body, you know, like it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I like Mega Ampharos. I think he like has things going for him, but he's just too slow. And like all the other flaws I said, he's not him, and no hidden power as well, because most leagues in that deck still don't allow hidden powers, so that too, just not having, you know, like a fire move or an ice move, pretty tough. So after that, our last one of this tier, a fan favorite, some would say, and it's Mega Glalie. I don't really know what the point of Glalie is anymore, if I'm completely honest. Like, his abilities are hot garbage. Your best one, really, because Moody's banned pretty much all the time. You're just going to go with Inner Focus to not get intimidated. Like, you're kind of strong, but, like, not really, because you have 120 attack and you're slow. Well, not slow. Again, his stats are just so, like, why? Like, they made him 80s across the board. That's fucked up. Like, that's so fucked up, because now Omega barely helps him at all. Like, he's just hanging on for dear life. It's tough. It's tough. Spike's obviously great, but outside of that, it's like Freeze Dry is your next best like move. I mean, obviously you have Refrigerate Explosion, great. Again, I don't like mons that the idea going in is I'm going to kill myself. Sorry, Glalie. I'm not a fan. Glailpoggers out there, don't kill me. This thing, he just doesn't have the tools. Like, he doesn't have anything really going for him other than just being a strong ice type. And it's like, what if you're spending like 3 points? I guess, sure, you know, but you can probably find better value out there in like real roles for a team. So fortunately, Glalie is in the bottom tier. If I had to rank these unbiasedly, I don't know, they all suck complete ass. I'm gonna be so serious. They can stay like that. Just know everyone in this tier is hot garbage. Banette standing at the back though, because fuck him. Shout out to Times and Sky. After that, we're gonna go on to fucking useless, and no one is more apt for that description than my boy Mega Sharpedo. He does have like a very, I don't want to say a vocal minority, but he has a fan base of people that very much respect what he does, and I'm not sure I'm one of them. He does get Flip Turn, which I think is interesting, but it's not even boosted by Strong Jaw because only biting moves are. Like, if he had like Tough Claws, I'd be like, okay, like everything hits hard, but it's just Strong Jaw, so like Crunch and moves like that are boosted. He's just not strong enough. Like, fucking having to get the speed boost and like having the immediate power over something like Gara is interesting, but I'm not a fan, especially when you're typically paying, like, you know, it depends on the league. Like, the leagues that don't update their tier list, it's going to be closer to like 9, and if they do, it's going to be closer to like 7, but somewhere in that range, it's just not worth it. Like, I just don't respect this Pokemon very much. Interesting mixed attacker. He actually does have some cool, you know, tech like Taunt and Super Fang and stuff. Like, he does have a few things going for him, but it's not good enough. Destiny Bond is another one. Again, I'm not going over it. Like, he's got a few things, but he's just not really worth drafting at all. Like, what team is like, yes, Mega Sharpedo is a perfect fit here? Fucking show me one, because I don't think it exists. After that, we have everyone's favorite base stat of 230, and that is Mega Steelix with his defense. I do respect him a little bit. Like, there's a tiny part of me that's like, I love Pokemon that just have like giant base stats where you can just throw, you know, like you can just throw this at a physical attacker. You're probably gonna live a hit, and you do get explosion. So like, you know, I'm not gonna keep harping on this, but like, I don't like the idea of just being like, yeah, that's what you are. But he is really, really strong in terms of like living physical hits, and you could check physical attackers. So I don't hate it. I don't love the defensive typing. Ironically, Steel and Ground are both types that I love, but my Steel doesn't resist Grass. My Ground doesn't really check other grounds or fightings, which is typically something you'd want out of a Phys-Def Ground. He's kind of just in a weird spot. He does get interesting setup options like Dragon Dance, but he has 30, speed, so why? But you do get Curse, which is interesting, and you obviously get Body Press, which I do like that. I'm a fan of that, Curse Body Press, but he just doesn't get reliable recovery. You have to run Rest, and then at that point, it's like, what is the point? So, sorry, Steelix. You aren't the worst Pokemon in the world, but you're pretty hard to fit on a team, and I don't really see the point of you. And another Mon coming up here that I struggled with pretty hard. Also, I'll tier these as I go, I guess. Mega Audino. This is one I've struggled with a little bit. I kind of think it could be in bad, but not bad and expensive. But I think you need to go under the hood a little bit more with Audino to understand, like, why this thing is even worse. You'd like, on paper, you'd be like, this is like a great Dragapult check. But his stats are so bad. Like, his defense, like, he's supposed to be like a super bulky Mon. 103, 126, 126, while not bad, isn't like some unbelievable, number here. We're not talking about like some unkillable wall. It's Recovery's Wish. It's not like Recover or Moonlight or anything. So you have to waste then another slot on Protect or Raw Dog it, and I'm not really a fan of that. It does get cool utility moves like Encore and, T-Wave, I guess. Like it has a few different things. It gets knockoff, but you're so fucking slow that like Encore, it has to be like, much more situational. And then you're already running Wish and Protect, so now you only have one move slot, so you can't run like Calm Mind because your special attack is so bad. Not only that your special attack is bad, you don't have a good fairy move, you have to run Dazzling Gleam, you don't get Moonblast. Like, his moves are weak, his stats are weak. I don't think this Pokemon's very good. If he's like 5 points, sure. Like, I don't care at that point. Like, you don't have a Mega and you don't have a Fairy type. Fine. Like, he at least has like tools, but he's quite bad in my opinion. I don't like Mega Audino. Again, I think he's close to being bad, but not bad and expensive. But he's kind of like in the middle of those two tiers. He's useless. He's not fucking useless. But we can move on to the next tier of absolute legends, some would say. We're gonna start with Mega Sableye. I don't really know what the point of drafting Sableye in the big 2025 is, if I'm perfectly honest. You basically have to just do what Mega Sableye's always done, which is, Calm Mind and then Wisp a physical attacker as they come in, and then Mega and get Magic Bounce and bounce back a Toxic. Like, you have to like do all the turns right for like such a he's not good. Like, his HP is fucking horrible. His attacking stats are bad. You have to set up to do any damage at all. You do get knockoff. Like, that's cool. You get Prankster Encore before you Mega. Outside of that, it's like, I don't know. He's got coverage moves. He's bad. I'm sorry. He does get Bulk Up and Calm Mind, which is funny. Yeah, I wish I could like this Pokemon. I really do. I wish he didn't suck complete ass, but he does. Like, he is completely, he costs like you know, in some leagues that like don't update their tier list, and this is such a problem I have in draft league where people like leagues will just roll their tier list over and over and over again. They don't sit down and do the fucking work that's required to like make a league run, and they'll have Mega Sableye because they've been copying this tier list over for so long and like 12 points. It's somewhere between like 12 and 9, and it's like this Pokemon is bad. He's not good. He's and who drafts it? Like, what's the fucking point? So I'm out. I hate Sableye. I think he's like horrific. He's almost fucking useless, but he's like expensive and useless. So he might be worse. Like all things considered, for what you're having to spend, he's bad. But his upside is a little higher because at least he has good abilities and he has setup options and knockoff. Like he's not unusably bad. He's just bad and expensive. He really is this tier. And speaking of this tier, we have everyone's favorite 13-point normal type. Again, with the league thing I just talked about, fucking Mega Kangaskhan. Everyone's worst Lopunny. Not only are you weaker than Lopunny, not only are you slower than Lopunny, your bulk is like Pixie level. It's not even like you're some fucking, you know, iron wall. You hit twice. Like Rocky Helmet is hitting you twice. You can't do anything about it. You don't have knockoff, so you can't get rid of helmets. That's one thing too. If this fucker got knockoff, I'd at least be like, okay, here's the difference between him and Lopunny. He can do this and get rid of the helmet for himself. It's fine. Like, that's cool. No knockoff. Okay, cool, man. Man, I love this random coverage. Thank God I get Aqua Tail. Oh, man. So strong. 125 attack. Give me a fucking break. This thing is garbage. Again, another mon that their recovery is Wish. So you basically have to just, like, Wish Protect if you want to, you know, keep any health and heal yourself. You do get Drain Punch as well, I guess. That is another way to heal, but you're probably going to hurt yourself more with the Rocky Helmet you hit. So, I'm not a fan. I don't really see the point of him. I know he has his fans. Shout out to Windrazers, my boy James. Unless your league allows Seismic Toss, like, I'm good. Like, I'm so good. Fucking pass. He doesn't really, like, if he was like a 7-point Mega, I'd be in, you know, like, okay, like he's got good stats and hits decently hard. Like I could see it, but you're spending almost double that mostly. It's gonna be somewhere between like 13 and 11. He's not good. Like he's a bad Pokemon, and for that much, just pick a different Mega, and preferably not a normal type. The only normal that's like high priced that's even really worth drafting is like Terapagos. So fucking pick somebody else. He ain't it. I'm afraid. And speaking of not it, I'm afraid, we have everyone's favorite Hood Classic. Actually, I'd probably rather have Kang than Houndoom, if I'm on it. Like, I just shit on Kang. Houndoom might be fucking worse. This thing is so bad. Like, to do any damage at all, you have to hurt yourself with solar power. Your speed is good. I'd say it's good, but it's not like blistering. It's not like you're outspeeding a bunch of the metagame and like the really, you know, fast threats, like even things like Torrent, like you can't just stay in and Fire Blast in the sun because you don't fucking outspeed. Like, what is the point of this thing? His coverage is like okay. He gets like weird physical coverage, like Psychic Fangs, Trailblaze. It's like okay, but to do any damage, you have to hurt yourself. It's so bad. I mean, like, he gets Nasty Plot, which is cool, but again, to use a Pokemon at their peak, like to use this Pokemon at their peak, it requires hurting yourself and just pivoting around with this thing. You're weak to rocks, so you're probably going to take a bunch of hazard damage. You're already hurting yourself. It's bad. This is a bad Pokemon. Again, shout out James. This thing is fucking horrible. You know it is. Don't draft this. God awful. Please do not draft Houndoom. Please do not draft Houndoom. Like, I'm begging you. I know Sun is good this gen. Do not draft Houndoom. He's so bad. He will fail you. All right. Minor rant out of the way. We can move on to bad, but not bad and expensive. We have Mega Manectric. He sucks. I will be completely honest. I love him. Like, I think he's cool. Great shiny, by the way. I'll throw that on there. But this is assuming no hidden power. He just doesn't have the coverage to hold up anymore. And his special attack isn't like as crazy as it used to be. So not having like hidden power ice or hidden power grass is really, really tough for him. And then you're basically just a toxic bot. Like you're just toxicking and then trying to wall or, you know, wear down ground types as you go. It's not great. he doesn't even get like work up, so you can't do like work up Ice Fang to like be funny. Like he just unfortunately doesn't have the tools anymore. In matchups where like the ground is like Mudsdale, that's one that I don't hate. Like you can work around. Like Mega Manectric can do like Toxic, Magnarize, and Overheat, and like, you know, kind of fuck with Mudsdale a little bit. Like, but that's what you're having to do. And if they have rest, then you basically are just wasting your time. So, sorry, Mega Manectric. I wish you need like Plot and Hidden Power back, and you'll be fine. But for now, you're not him. Speaking of not him, we have a Mega Abomasnow. The reason I like him is because I think low tier grasses in general provide a value. Shout out to that video coming out soon. That high tier grasses don't. He is relatively bulky. Like his stats aren't horrible. He has like again, these are pretty solid up and down. Like he's stronger than like shit like Kangaskhan. He has higher power moves like Blizzard, you know, Woodhammer and stuff like that. He does have priority, and with the snow buff, like he can check some high tier grounds. Obviously, he's weak to rock, which sucks. But he does get a Roar Veil too, which is something with Snow Warning. Like again, tools wise, for everything that you're expecting your low tier grass to do, he can do it. So if he's somewhere between like 3 to 5 points, I don't completely hate him, especially if he's closer to 3 than 5. You know, I'm actually kind of a fan. Like if you don't have a Mega and you don't have a grass, I'm overall pretty big fan of Abomasnow. If he's more than like 5, I'm probably out. But not bad. Like not a bad Pokemon at all. He could be a lot worse. I'll just say that. Like there's a lot worse. You know, we've just discussed them, unfortunately. And that's actually it for this tier. We're going to go on to Mega Sceptile. Slight bias because I have a certain boy coming up next. But Mega Sceptile, interesting Pokemon. I actually don't hate him like quite as much as I used to. Depending on the league, because some leagues have really overrated him with Shed-Tail. If he's not super high because of that, like if he's in like the, you know, 8-ish, 8 to 9 at most point range, totally fine. He's at least has an elite speed tier, which I think matters. Like, you know, it's beating base 80s with a Scarf because you get to 427, and they get to 426. I'm totally game with that. His coverage is like kind of mediocre. It's, you know, Thunder Punch, X Scissor, Rock Slide, and that's all physical. Earthquake, and again, another dragon type that suffers from not being a dragon originally, so they can't get Draco. Like, Game Freak loves to do this, and fuck you with Dragon Pulse. This move sucks dick. It's so bad. Yeah, that's really it for Sceptile. It's basically Focus Blast, strong grass move like Leaf Storm, and Dragon Pulse. If he got Plot, I would really love it. He gets DD and Swords Dance, so he does have setup options, but they're both physical. And Home Claws, true. Does he get Scale Shot? I actually don't know. He does. So, I mean, that's interesting. You know, SD Scale Shot for like a little bit of a mix-up. Again, I'm just not a fan. I don't hate him as much as I used to. I kind of think he does have a purpose, but you have to draft around him pretty well. But, like, yeah, if you miss out on, like, top-tier speed and you don't have a dragon, like, late in the draft, Sep isn't, like, the worst Pokemon ever. So that's as far as I'd go. We're going to go with Mega Absol. It's unfortunate. I love my guy. I can't even... There we go. Not putting Sceptile ahead of him. So, sorry, guys. This is complete bias. I'm fully aware. He has the tools to be successful, and it's really unfortunate that he just kind of is stuck in like this limbo state. He really needed to be a fairy type. If they would have made him Dark Fairy, I'm telling you right now, he'd be a good Pokemon. I promise you, it would change so much for him. Like, having Stab Play Rough would be so great. Why didn't they give him like Tough Claws or Sharpness or fucking anything? I know Sharpness didn't exist yet, but give him Tough Claws. Magic Bounce is like fine. It's okay. It's obviously not a bad ability, but it would be much better if it had something just to boost, you know, its attack. But he has really great coverage, and I don't think he's the worst Pokemon in the world. He's one of the strongest knockoff Sucker Mons in the game. just with, stab and attack stat, everything, equal. He's one of the strongest in the game. And if he's like 7, I'm okay. Like, it's not great. He's definitely not perfect. But if you get him for like 7-ish, fine with that. 7, somewhere in the 8 to 6 range, totally fine with Absol. Anything more, pass. Anything less, I might draft him myself. So you let me know what the league is. Yeah, I love Absol. I'm not putting him below Sceptile. Fuck you, James. After that, we move on to not 100% terrible, but not worth paying for. These Pokemon, in theory, are better than a lot of these Pokemon. Like, there's like definitely a gap. The problem is that you're paying so much for. I'm gonna put them both on here because they really just define this tier. Mega Gara and Mega Pinsir. We'll start with Pinsir. Like, 155 with Aerialate and SD and Bulk Up if you really want to. And then you have like the coverage you really need of Earthquake, CC, and Knockoff. Like, you and Stone Edge, like you can hit like the Zapdoses of the world. Like, he has all of the coverage. He even has like high horsepower for fucking, like the Rillaboom. Like, if there's terrain up or whatever. Like, he has so many tools. The problem is just you're 4 times weak to rock. Like, it's like God. And you have quick attack too, so you have priority. He has so much going for him. Like, I'm not sure how many more Pokemon have like things going for them while not being ever drafted than Pinsir. Like, he even gets rocks. Like, he has all the tools in the world. Assuming your league allows return, because most Nat Dex leagues at this point do. He's I think he's solid. Like, he's a strong bond. The problem is you have to just draft like amazing hazard removal and like it needs to be your number one priority. Is like, you need to draft like Great Tusk with this thing, right? And it's like you need to have spin every single week, or like if a league allows like Terra Lecky, which they shouldn't, but if they do, I think Pinsir's interesting because you're gonna have rapid spin like every week anyway. You basically, yeah, I think he has the tools to be successful, but how do you fit this thing on a team? Like, that's you have to think about, like, when you're drafting, like, what role am I asking Pinsir to be? Like, because he's not a defensive flying. He's an offensive flying and bug type that can't be Scarf, which is weird for flyings. And then, like, you have to set up. Like, he's weird. He's weird, but he does have tools. Again, not the worst Pokemon in the world. However, Gyarados, let's get to him. Another 155 base attack mon, interestingly enough. Look. The name of the game here is quite simple. We are Dragon Dancing. And he gets Temper Flare now. He has Power Whip. He has, like, really good coverage. But that's basically all you can do. You have to run that, or you're trying then to go outside the box and be bulky, or, like, Mystic Gara, like, special moves. I just, like, really, your biggest mix-up is, like, staying regular. I wonder if he's going to Mega this turn or not. And it's, do you have Intimidate, and then you can play with that, or do you have Moxie and you're trying to fish for a kill wall in regular before you Mega? Like, it, typing-wise, you're also weak to rocks before you Mega. He has the stats, like, he really does, but he is a bad Pokemon, unfortunately. So, I'm sorry, Gyarados. It's grim for you, I'm afraid. Typically, he's in, like, 12 points. I just don't know who's paying 12 points for Gyarados at this point. Like, he kind of needs to just go down everywhere, but, what you gonna do? All right, next up we have usable but barely, and we will start with probably the one that's a little worse. I'm going to go with Mega Pidgeot. Ironically, is another normal Mega that I don't... If you draft it, I won't be upset, but you do need to draft a good team, because... He really has, one thing going for him, and that is no guard Hurricane. After that, it's, you do get Work Up, which is interesting. So you can hit harder. You probably just want to spam Hurricane and hope for a confusion, if I'm honest. Like, you do get Heat Wave, obviously. You get, U-Turn, you get Roost. Like, he has a few things, but he is a very straightforward Pokemon. And without Focus Blast. Until he gets Focus Blast, I'm not really super interested. He's relatively strong. He's got a good speed tier, but that's pretty much it. He's straightforward. I don't hate him completely, but not great. Mega Swampert is the boy coming next, and you may think that's a little low. Outside of Rain, I don't really like. He's just a Rain bot. Like, it really is. It's just Rain. Like, there's no anything to him. He has relatively good bulk. And he has a usable special attack stat. I do like, you can run like Sludge Wave for like, a Tangrowth or something if they have it. Glalie has Flip Turn now. Definitely makes him... without Flip Turn, he might not even be in this tier, if I'm honest. He's fine. Like, he does what he's asked to do, but like, there's a lot of physical water guys out there. I might even just rather a Barraskewda, if I'm honest. Like, I don't know. Because at least then I don't have to use my Mega Slot on this thing. And his attack is better, but you can run Choice Band on this. So, I don't know. And he's faster, which is huge. But it really just depends what's needed for your team. I'm just not overall a big Swampert fan. But he could be worse. He's usable, but barely. Aggressively mediocre, my favorite tier. Who do I want to start with? We're going to go with Beedrill. A mon that I'm a fan of. I've used to use this thing all the time. I think he's one of the most beginner-friendly Pokemon in the game. Also, great shiny, once again. Shout out to him. Blistering speed, super, super strong. But and it makes you work on getting rid of hazards. Like, I think Beedrill, if you are newer to Draft League, I really recommend Beedrill. I think, like... because it teaches you, like, okay, I need to get rid of hazards. I need to worry about getting rid of Rocky Helmet because I don't want Beedrill getting low. And it's just hitting really hard and it U-turns around. Like, it really does have a lot of tools going for it. It gets T-spikes. Like, I overall, I would say I'm a big Beedrill fan. The problem is that he is weak to hazards. Like, these things are still, a reality for him. So there's not really much he can do about it. But he's strong as fuck. He gets Swords Dance. He gets Drill Run, so he gets the steals. He gets Knockoff. Like, he does have the tools. Not a strong Pokemon overall, though. Like, he has so many flaws. He's really weak to, like, a lot of priority. Like, Quick Attack, Sucker, Ice. Like, he doesn't resist. Like, the only thing he resists a priority is, like, fucking Mach Punch. So it's, like, it's tough. And your physical defense is so weak that you're just not... you're not really living a mutt. Dragonite E-Speed's probably fucking OHKOing if you're banded from like 80%. So it's a tough reality for Beedrill, unfortunately. But what you gonna do? And after that, we're gonna go to another bug type, Mega Heracross. I wanted to put him higher, and I think he is one of the highest ones of this tier. Of aggressive mediocre. Like, he's kind of on the fence here. I like him more than a lot of other people, I would say. Like, I've only used him one time. I'm not like his biggest fan. He's tough to fit on a team, but I like him paired with like really strong dragons that bait out the steals that want to swap into them. Obviously fairies do as well, and he doesn't want to hit that. But a lot of the people, or like the spongy normal types, like things like Licky, like, he does pair well with those. And he's overall strong. I mean, like, his attack stat is fucking crazy at 185. Like, he hits like a truck. He gets spikes. He gets SD. He gets bulk up. Rock blast for the flying. It's like he has a lot of the things going for him. He's just slow and very awkward. And so if you don't draft him, I don't blame you. Won't spend a ton of time on him. I like Heracross overall. I think he's a good mon. Pretty solid ability too with Moxie, or I guess Guts. If you get burned, you don't have to Mega then. Yeah, could be worse. Not a bad mon. Next up, I think we get one of my more controversial ones out of the way. We're going to go with Mega Gardevoir. This is a mon that I know a lot of people are a fan of, and I understand why. The problem is I just don't see what the point of Gardevoir is anymore. Like, if you're going for this role, just get Lele, because at least you can be Scarf. And I know Gardevoir's stronger, but I think the speed just sucks for Gardevoir. Like, not having reliable recovery, other than Wish, but again, you're not really running that. He does get knockoff. Like, it's not a bad Pokemon. He does have tools, and he's very strong, but that's about it. Like, it's just a tough world to live in to be Gardevoir. You're also really physically weak, so again, you get picked off by strong priority, something that Lele cannot. I just not really seeing the point of it anymore. You really have to draft around it well. Need good steel killers, and I think you can find Gardevoir's role elsewhere for cheaper or better in Lele's case. So, unfortunately, sorry Gardevoir, you're gonna have to go in this tier. But if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments. I'd love to debate about it. Next up, we're gonna go with Mega Altaria. A mon that I am so back and forth on. To start this gen, when he got Willow, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then you realize you're never really going to run Willow, and you're like, oh, this isn't actually that cool. And he seems stronger than he is. Like, 110 with Pixelate, you're like, oh, he's not actually that strong, but he's super bulky, but it's like, oh, the HP actually, he's just so fucking mediocre. Pretty toxic susceptible. He does get Refresh and Heal Bell, so he does have options to beat it, and obviously you can run like Facade, but I don't know. The speed sucks. He kind of has to set up to do anything physically, and he doesn't get any special setup, so you're kind of fucked on that end. Like, if you're running it like the Scizor matchup, you have to either go mixed or full special, and then you're not very strong for the match. So, it's tough for alt. I don't really know what, like, plot would be nice. Calm Mind, I think Calm Mind would be cool. I think Calm Mind would help a lot. It also just sucks that you're weak to rocks before you Mega, so you need to keep those off the field. You do have a solid ability duo with Manectric and Cloud9, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, kind of mediocre, sadly. I like him, but not great. After that, we have the two Kanto boys. We have Mega Blastoise and Mega Venusaur. This isn't exactly tiered. I'll come back to this. Start with Blastoise. Again, another mon that is unfortunately in the I don't have setup other than fucking Shell Smash, which, if you're a serious league, is banned. That's, let's be serious. He does have Spin. That is nice for him, but do you want to pay like 13 points for a fucking Rapid Spinner that isn't actually that bulky and doesn't have reliable recovery? I would say probably not. He does have Flip Turn, which helps. He gets cool things like Terrain Pulse, so obviously you can run him with like the Cocos of the world to really hit like other water types, which is super nice. Outside of that, he's just kind of like stuck in the middle a little bit. Like, he's relatively bulky, but not like super, and again, is very, very, like, doesn't have sustain, so he's gonna kind of die quickly. Pretty weak to hazards, especially if you make him the remover. He's taking the hazard damage to then remove. And his special attack is good with Mega Launcher, but it's not some crazy number. So, like, Water Pulse is only getting to, like, 90 power? I believe it's a 50% bonus. Yeah. So, oh no, it's Torrent, but I believe it is a 50% bonus. So, Water Pulse is 90 power, which is fine, but it's not like you're running, like, Hydro on some mons where that's, 20 power more. And that goes a long way. So, overall, I don't think Blastoise is horrible, but kind of tough to fit on a team and stuck in the middle a little bit. So after that, we have Venusaur, and this is a mon I thought about maybe being in this tier, but he's really, really, like, straightforward. Something I love is that he finally got physical poison move with Poison Jab, which makes Swords Dance, like, way more viable. Because before this, there were so many times where, like, SD would honestly be a really great option for him. Just having, Poison and Ground together is really, really nice. And then, he gets physical grass moves. But those 2 plus SD, very, very cool. His stats are, again, it's just kind of, he's a little alty, where, like, if you go special, you don't have setup, so you're a little weak, but at least it's a little stronger overall. Kind of mediocre speed. Bulk is solid, but not, like, unbelievable in any way. So, yeah, he's a little alty to me. Does have, like, Leech Seed and Knockoff and stuff, but that's kind of it. Like, I don't know. Sleep Powder is cool too, but yeah, they're kind of in the same vein to me, which is like when I thought about, I'm like, I don't feel great about Alt. I don't feel a whole lot better about Venusaur, so I feel like he should be in this tier. So we could try to tier this real quick together. I think Alt is probably the worst of the bunch here. Probably go Beedrill, then Blastoise, then Guard, then Heracross, Venu, maybe Venu, then Heracross. Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, now we're getting to some tiers where I actually feel really good about the Pokemon. Not quite this one. He kind of has to be here just by default. His name is Mega Lopunny. Look, I used to be a really big Lop fan. I have since changed my ways. I wish this thing was a little better than it was. I still think it's an overall solid cleaner. I think it's, again, another very new player-friendly Pokemon. You know, he just does very similar things in most games. Utility-wise, doesn't really exist. Basically, Heal Bell. So, nothing on that end. But, you know, like, just you're clicking strong moves. I think it helps you close games better. I think it's a mon that, if you're struggling with closing games, I think Lop is a mon that will speed up the process of learning. So, overall, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Lop. I like him, but he has fallen off in Gen 9, like, horrendously, unfortunately. I don't really know what would make him a whole lot better either, because he got CC, he got a stronger ice move, like, you know, Scrappy blocks Intimidate. Like, I don't... What else can they do for this thing to make him stronger? I really... I don't know. I struggle with it. Lop, I might just be a victim of speed or of power creep. And he does have a great speed tier, so that's pretty much it for Lop. He's hanging on by a thread in this tier, let me tell you. Next up, we'll go Mega Aggron. He's kind of like if Steelix didn't suck. Is the way I think about him. I just typed in Steel. I'm smart. Also has 230 defense, but he is not a ground type, so he doesn't have all the extra weaknesses and everything. I just like him a lot more. He is faster as well, which, you know, unless you're running Curse, is helpful at the end of the day. It's not like it's a bad thing. You know, he just gets a lot of, like, Iron Defense Body Press is awesome on him. And again, just not having all the extra weaknesses by being a Steel ground type, super, super nice. You do have to support him well. I will say that this is not a super beginner-friendly Pokemon. Like, he needs Wish support. He needs good pivoting. You don't want to make it like the primary rocker, but like the secondary rocker. And you need to learn, like, when you bring Roar to not click it all the time. Like, there's a lot of things to learn with Aggron that I don't necessarily know if it's the case for every Pokemon on this list. I think, like, the skill gap is a little higher, but he overall is very, very solid. You know, you'll typically see, like, Rotom Wash with him a lot because he covers a lot of his weaknesses. And then something, you know, I've seen this as like a combo a lot of like these three Pokemon together. It's like, this is a very, if you're gonna draft Aggron, you want Wish support. This thing gets Wish and Baton Pass, Rotom, good pivoter, and Defog. And then obviously you'd want like a ground that could set rocks, so, you know, figure it out from there. But if you're looking to use Aggron, that's something you're probably gonna want to go with. But if you build around Aggron well, very, very solid Pokemon. I think he's still very good in today's game. After that, we're going to go with Mega Aerodactyl. A mon that I used to shit on pretty relentlessly, gotta be honest. Used him, completely changed my tune. This thing is awesome. Obviously, the big flaw, and the crippling flaw, is a move called Stone Edge. And a move that I think every competitive Pokemon player absolutely hates. You need to land this move, and it sucks. I wish he had a physical rock move that was 100% accurate and was, you know, Tough Claws boosted. That would be great. But Dueling Beat, super, super nice. Honestly, gets very, very strong with Tough Claws. He gets Roost. He has great coverage. Like, he gets the Fangs, he gets Earthquake, Pursuit, Crunch. You know, like, Aqua Tail. He has a lot going for him. Iron Head, even Psychic Fangs. Like, he has so many tools. Taunt, Toxic, Roost. Like, he can do a lot of different roles. I really, really like this Pokemon. I'm a fan. I think he's pretty good. I don't really know what else to say. Like, he covers a lot. He has an elite speed tier as well, which is, again, something I really harp on, is like, have something that you're really, really good at. Like, have a superpower. That's what do you do better than other Pokemon? And to me, Aerodactyl is fast as fuck. He's really strong and has great coverage. Has reliable recovery to mitigate his flying typing, being weak to rocks. All that matters to me. And then obviously Dragon Dance. Like, that helps a lot too in this gen. So I don't think you should be relying on Dragon Dance. If you use Aerodactyl, people are going to prep for DD. So worry about just being strong, running the right coverage moves, and let it take it from there, and have DD as like another option. Don't focus as a sweeper. Think of it as like kind of a mid-game breaker. And if you get Pursuit, like if you're in a Pursuit league, definitely consider it. After that, we have the last one of this tier, Mega Slowbro. I actually did just draft this in a league, so maybe we'll see how week 1 goes, but I think he's really good. I think the problem with Mega Slowbro is that people use him very incorrectly. They see the stats on Mega Slowbro and they're like, oh, this is obviously a defensive Pokemon. Shout out to Almighty Jamal, my GOAT, one of the best Draft League players I know. He says it best. Like, the best way to use Mega Slowbro is to use his natural bulk and his great ability pre-Mega, and then his pretty solid ability post-Mega of Shell Armor. It's not amazing, but not being able to be crit is nice. Use that against them. Things like Nasty Plot, with like Trick Room, or, well, that's Trick, but Trick Room. Use Calm Mind. He gets Iron Defense. He gets all of these cool things. Like, run these. Run these with bulk. Like, you have such great natural bulk that you can now invest into special attack. And you get pretty good coverage. You get things like Flamethrower. You get things like, a lot. Just trust me. Like, you Grass Knot even. Like, it's Signal Beam if your league allows cut moves. Like, there are options for this thing. And then obviously Scald, Psychic moves, Ice Beam, And he gets Body Press as well, so you want to do Iron Defense, Body Press, you have that option. There's so many options for this Pokemon. I think he's really, really great. I'm a big fan of him overall. I think the worst way to use him is, just going Future Sight, like doing Slowbro things. You think like, oh, this is just bulkier Slowbro. No, do not. Like, this should not be a set that you're running almost ever. Like, especially Teleport, bad. I think it's like you should only be running this like once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times in like a 9 to 11 week season. Like, at most, this should like be once or twice, really. And it should be more focused on like, because no one's going to prep for Mega Slowbro like offensively. It's going to be more about like, how do I break it rather than how do I take hits from this thing. So if you set up that Trick Room, all of a sudden now they're like, what the fuck? What do I do? Like, how do I beat this thing? Mega Slowbro is really, really good if used well. The problem is the skill. I think the skill ceiling is very, very high on him. And overall, very, very good Pokemon, though. I, honest to God, would love to put it in the next tier, but realistically, I don't think I can justify it. So, yeah, big fan. Big fan. I think he's very, very good. But now we're going to go on to powerful or bulky or both. But definitely tough to fit on teams. We have Mega Chomp. Kind of a weird one. I think he was a little better like early Gen 9 than now, and like probably late Gen 8. He felt a little stronger than he does now. I'm not really sure how I feel quite about him anymore. Like, just losing the speed definitely sucks a lot. Like, he's kind of mediocre, but he does have great stats, like of just having SD plus 170 attack. Awesome. He's still faster than things like Mega Heracross, so you can take advantage of it a little bit better. Has a usable special attack stat of 120. Still really bulky. You do lose Rough Skin when you Mega, which, again, sucks. But he can be used on sand teams as well, which I think is cool. He gets spikes and rocks. Helpful. Overall, fan. I think he's good. Tough to fit. I think, like, you want to go with a team that can probably pivot pretty well. So something like Torn T, Glow King, I think is always very, very solid, like Rotom Wash. Just guys that can kind of move around and then let Garchomp like fill in roles, whether it's defensive or offensive that week. That's typically the way I would go about drafting with Chomp. But he's a strong Pokemon overall. I like him, but definitely a little weird to fit on teams. After that, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go with Megazard Y. Shout to Zard Y, because I think, before this gen, he might have been aggressively mediocre. Now, with Sun being, back a little bit here, kind of like him. I kind of think he's cool. He's always been ridiculously strong. No one can fucking swap into this piece of shit with the Sun up. 159, Fire Blast or Weather Ball, whatever. Brutal. Hate it. Gonna kill myself. He's pretty great. I think my biggest flaw, obviously, is the Rock's weakness, just having to work around that. But having, the best built-in pairing in the game, not only does this resist Rock 4 times, but you get Rapid Spin, to cover for Zard. These two were made generations apart, but there's never been a more perfect fit for each other, and obviously Prosthesis for Tusk. And it's always been weird to kind of get, a good ground on Sun teams, and Tusk is perfect. These two... if you're going to draft Zard Y, you must have Great Tusk. That, I think it is a fucking necessity. They must be on the same team. I love it. I love these two together, and I know this is more about Zard, but I think Tusk existing makes this thing, so much better. And he's strong. He's got relatively good, surprisingly okay bulk. He takes hits better than you'd expect him to. So you can invest a little bit more, and he's so damn strong already that you can... worry about running a little bit more bulk and then still having, your stuff. He can do a lot. He gets Roost, and another thing I like is you can run DD, and so people run their AV Glow King for you. You rock out the DD and then hit him with the Flare Blitz, and I believe it does 88 min to max HP. So you get rocks up and you're just outgoing. Great Mon, love Zard Y. I think he's really, really good. Next up, we're gonna go with Mega T-Tar, another Weathermon. Kind of the theme of this so far. T-Tar is a really good example of... Oh, this is regular T-Tar. That's my bad. Really good example of throwing stats at somebody. I talked about it earlier with Steelix and Aggron. This fucker... he's so goddamn bulky, it's insane. You do not need to invest in your attack, at all. It's crazy. And again, before Knockoff, I wouldn't have had it this high, but Knockoff really, really helps him. If you're in a league with Pursuit as well, which is, I'm kind of basing it on having all of their moves. If they have Pursuit, I think this mod is fucking awesome. He is so cool. Really, the biggest problem is you have 4 move syndrome, because then you're going to go, Stone Edge, and then if you need to make it the Rocker that week. But even this is totally fine. This is such... I love this Pokemon. You have such a high attack stat already. You don't need to invest even that much. You can go a fuck ton of bulk to live some crazy hit, and now you're still doing a shit ton of damage because your attack is so high. Throwing stats at Pokemon is one of the best things you can do at this point in power creep. Just who has good stats that you can take hits with and do a bunch of damage back. It's not, or outspeed because you have an elite speed tier. So all that's very, very important. I love T-Tar. I think he's great. And I wish people would use him more. I think Mega T-Tar is very, very underrated in Nat Dex right now. Great mon. So yeah, that's it for T-Tar. And I have one last mon for this tier. His name is Mega Medi. A mon that I have gone back and forth on, for sure. Interesting. Very, very interesting mon. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on him. Everyone knows what he does. I think what's important to know is that his attack, again, is so fucking high with, pure power that you don't need to worry about running, a shit ton of investment. It's really his bulk is so bad that you want to have the ability to take a hit and then revenge. So kind of a high skill. At first you think it's low skill because it's just I can click, super strong CC. But really, to get the most out of Medi, I think it's a high skill mon where you need to learn how to EV to take hits and then be able to kill back. It's more than just hitting stuff hard. So I'm a fan of Medi overall. I don't think it's perfect. It's a little like you kind of need to have your priority, and then you don't get Ice Punch if you want to run stabs. So it's a little 4-move syndrome-y, but good Pokemon overall. I almost want to put. I think I'm gonna put. Man, putting Zard Y this high feels so weird, but I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go like that as the order. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Shot the Zard Y though. And speaking of Zard, we're gonna go with Zard X in the next tier of extremely good, but you do have flaws. Obviously, that flaw once again before you Mega, 14's weak to Rock, and then even after you Mega, weak to Rock. So it's not wonderful. However, this is another Pokemon where you're just looking at the stats and like this thing bulk wise is crazy as fuck. Like 111 for defense with Root. Like you can really invest for this thing to be like bulky DD. Love it. And you don't even have to run DD because it's so goddamn strong. Like just like make people take the hit from you. Like, oh, they're just gonna swap into their counter. Like you have T-Punch, you have Flare Blitz, you have Dragon Claw. He gets Swords Dance, which is really cool. So if you just need to nuke something to then, get something out of the way later, like he has that ability. So strong. I love Willow sets. I think that's great. Good mod. I have no complaints. I think he's like one of the most solid Pokemon, or megas in the game right now. Have to draft around him well, definitely, but very, very good. And I like him. I think he's quite good. After that, we're gonna go with a fan favorite, Mega Scizor. I would say this is one of the best megas in Draft League for sure. I don't think I need to spend a ton of time. What he does defensively is really, really impressive. I mean, he's only weak to one typing, obviously. Not weak to ground as a steel type. Awesome. Not weak to fighting as a steel type. Awesome. Not resisting flying as a steel type. Not awesome. Gotta be real. But just like everything he does, like knockoff, defog, U-turn, he has Roost. Bullet Punch, obviously, being the main one with Technician. Absolutely wonderful. He does get Pursuit as well. He's a little 4-move syndrome-y. Like, I think it's tough to run, like, an SD close combat set because you just need this thing to do so much. But if you don't roll compress him hard, I think he's one of the best megas in Draft League. He's fucking incredible. Like, he can take over a game. He can, like, completely halt your opponent's progress. He's awesome. I think Mega Scizor is one of the best in Draft League, and if you draft around him well, he's like a top 5 guy. Like he's really up there. And last for this tier, we have another goat. We have Mega Diancie. Harris is awesome, is crying in the chat, but he is incredible. I think Mega Diancie is aged well. It gets spikes now, so that's cool. I always thought it was like a decent offensive rocker, but now it has another option too. Like if you have rocks in your team, you can throw spikes on this and just really start to stack. I think the option of going physical or special, like you can just do Power Gem, Moonblast, or you can do, I probably wouldn't do Play Rough, but if you're going full physical, you can with Diamond Storm. Just having those options, obviously having Mystical Fire and Earth Power hit all the steals that you can imagine. If they're grounded steals, Earth Power, and if they're the steel flying, Mystical Fire. He gets Calm Mind. He gets Encore, which I think is really, really good this gen. Does get Explosion, which is cool. He gets Draining Kiss for possible Calm Mind sets. Body Press in combination Diamond Storm can be cool. Little niche, not exactly what you're going for all the time. Gets things, I believe, like Psychic as well for like the Mega Venusaur matchup. Yep. So it has like tons of tools. Obviously, the typing isn't like perfect. You're 4 times weak to steel, so like the Scizor matchup's tough, but it's not like they can switch into you because you have fucking Mystical Fires. So great Pokemon. I love Mega Diancie. I think he's awesome. And really the only thing keeping him out isn't the fastest thing in the world, and it has a bunch of weaknesses like defense, like type wise, a bunch of weaknesses, but has so many tools. I think it's a fantastic mon, and would recommend drafting it anytime to anyone that is interested. So, definitely give him a shot. After that, we're moving on to our top tier, and we are going to start with the Mega Lotties. I'm going to start with Mega Latias, who I think is a little worse than Latios. Main reason being, it doesn't get Flip Turn, which Latios now does, and now their buff move, Mist Ball, has a 50% chance to lower special attack by 1, and it's like, okay, it's fine. It is stronger than Psychic, so that's cool, but it's only by 5. So honestly, Psychic is like a debatably similar move, whereas for Mega Latios, he gets Luster Purge, and having that lowered SpDef is way better. Now Mons like Clef have to run like Covert Cloak instead of Leftovers because they are going to get 2-Code by Luster Purge if they get the drop. And it is... I think that's a huge buff. Having Luster Purge as just a move, having Flip Turn, and then your special attack being so high that you can now invest into bulk much easier than Latias, who's weaker. I wouldn't say weak, but weaker. And now you have to now take out a bulk to make this thing, like, you know, comparatively as strong. What does he get to? 379? Yeah, like, I can hit that, and now I have all this bulk. You know, like, this is now what I get to run, and you don't. Or, you know, whatever. Like, it's... I just think Latios is the better Pokemon. I think they're both great. Like, obviously, you can't go wrong with either one of them. I mean, like, they're both really, really good. Both get Defog, which is helpful. Get Roost for Sustain. Get really good coverage, especially in Nat decks with, you know, Mystical Fire, which I just recently learned he does not get anymore in Gen 9, which is really interesting. Yeah, I think very, very cool. I also believe Latias does not get Psychic Noise. Yeah, which is super weird. I honestly would like that much more than Latios. I'm not sure why they gave that to Latios and not Latias. Very strange. But yeah, overall, big fan. I like it. I think Mega Latios is definitely better than Latias, but and I can't really tell, if I'm completely honest, who is who. I'm gonna assume, I think the jet-looking one, like facing forward, I think that's Latios, and I think this one is Latias. If I had to guess, I'm not 100% sure, but you know, for all intents and purposes, that's what I'm going with. Next up, we're gonna go with Mega Glalie, who is not my cup of tea always, but I think one of the best Megas in Draft League. I don't exactly love using him the most, but his options are pretty incredible. Inner Focus, Blocking, Intimidate, obviously is great. And it's just the setup options. Swords Dance, there. Bulk Up, there. Incredible coverage for every matchup you can ever imagine is there. He gets Encore. He gets Destiny Bond. He even gets Vacuum Wave for interactions like King Gambit. If they're not like Terra, you can Vacuum Wave them. You have priority. They can't Sucker Punch you. Obviously not something you're running all the time, but it is an option. It's pretty incredible. And we should be thanking our lucky stars this thing does not have Sharpness, because my god, with this thing with like Sacred Sword and Sharpness, we're doomed, I'm afraid. But yeah, Triple Axle, I'm not going to spend a ton of time. You guys know what he does. He's the ultimate setup plus perfect coverage for any matchup you could ever need, Mon. I think the only thing he doesn't really get is like a physical fairy move. Yeah, so like that sucks, but pretty much everything else he's doing just fine. Actually, I wonder, does he get a fire move? That's we're doing this live. Yeah, Fire Punch, right. So yeah, he does everything. Mega Glade's awesome. Not much to say. And the Mon who I have as the best Mega in Draft League, Mega Mawile. I think skill ceiling wise, this is very, very high. It's not easy to use in the sense of EVing. This is like Mega Medi like times 100, where EVing is so important. Do not just run this every week. Like, this is so bad. We need to be running, like, you know, you need to be calcing every single mon on your opponent's team, being like, okay, Mawile, if I'm clicking a move on this, Play Rough does 114. Okay, we're going to bring, with max attack, we're going to bring it down to 92 where it kills. Now I move on to the next one. Okay, I need 112 for Thunder Punch to kill it, +2 on Corviknight. okay, now I'm going to this and I need actually 124, and you work your way and you see, okay, like this either 2-Kos or Okos, everything on their team, and now I'm